All right, horrible lighting down here, so apologies in advance. Anyway, part two, two joint fundamentals, lesson one, principles and concepts of jointness. So left off on page three. The joint functions, command and control. Of the joint functions, some have insisted that command and control is the most critical. C2 is the structure of organization and authority used to direct and employ forces and resources, the means of achieving unity of purpose and action. In any operation, obviously, lack of a C2 structure would generate chaos and cross purposes. JP3-0 states C2 encompasses the exercise of authority and direction by a commander over assigned and attached forces to accomplish the mission. The JFC provides operational vision, guidance, and direction to the joint force. C2 is uniquely linked to all the other functions. It relies on them to effectively communicate and guide forces. And in turn, other forces rely on effective C2 to create synergistic effects on the battlefield. Effective C2 is built around doctrinally established command relationships. The various command relationships are very specifically designed or defined by law or doctrine, and commander's authority is bounded by them. JFCs exercise command authorities within this framework, such as a combatant command, COCOM, operational control, OPCON, tactical control, TACON or TACON, and support. These relationships are nested, i.e., a broader command authority includes a narrower authority within it. There is general agreement in joint planning circles that of all the joint functions, C2 is the most unforgiving. In other words, it is harder to recover from a poorly structured C2 organization than from any mistake in fires, maneuver, intel, or even sustainment. If you don't have poor command and control, the war's not going to go as well. And that's interesting. Just with the current conflict, command and control. One of the things that we heard was um, Russia is really just kind of their command and control is not really good because if you look at the enemy that they're fighting, they have inferior weapons. They have inferior numbers. They're inferior in pretty much everything. Um, but due to poor command and control, poorly trained officers, there's been steep losses. So Ukraine is estimated as of the what's this, fifth or sixth month of the conflict. Um, Russian losses to be in the 40,000s. That's pretty high. How accurate is that? The numbers haven't been verified. And Russia's doing all types of things to kind of obscure those numbers. Russia has claimed that, hey man, we've only lost about 1,300 people, and um, maybe 3,000 have been wounded. So everything's good. Everything's going according to plan. It's kind of Russia's story. But I think after, in the aftermath, you will have many Russian families that are just talking about how the truth will come out in the wash eventually. Um, Required materials again, JP3-0 joint operations. Read pages 3-1 to 3-9. And there's a required video. In the video below, the CSAF uses one event, a ballistic missile launch, to illustrate the complexity of the supporting commander relationships. As you watch the video, consider what other events you can think of that introduce complexity into a supporting relationship or other command and control concept. How can C2 structures and the systems that underpin them be sufficiently agile to handle these complexities? Um, Guessing from 2019 is maybe the current CSAF. I hope it is the current CSAF, but I don't think it is, honestly. Um, just my thoughts. I would like to see all of the material kind of be current. It's, I don't know, maybe for historical purposes it helps, but I think we have enough talent and enough brain power to keep that current. Just my thoughts. Should have the current president and should have the current um, chief of staff and the SecDef and all of those folks should have their words in there because it changes from person to person. The joint functions information. The current operating environment in which joint, interorganizational, and multinational operations are conducted produces what seems at times to be an endless creation and access to information. It is vital that JFCs and their staffs be able to collect, manage, apply, and integrate information in an operationally advantageous way. The 22 October 2018 Change 1 to JP 3-0 Joint Operations formally established information as a new joint function. JP 3-0 states the information function includes activities that facilitate the JFC's understanding of the role of information in the operating environment, OE, facilitate the JFC's ability to leverage information to affect behavior, and support human and automated decision making. So that's interesting. Human and automated decision making. So there are processes in which uh, automation has been built in. To me, that sounds like AI, but I don't really know. But how else are they making automated decision making? It's just I don't know. That's interesting to me. I have to look more into that. The persistent creation, collection, and dissemination of information has varied impacts on the perceptions, attitudes, and decision making of almost all relevant actors in the contemporary OE. How JFCs understand and leverage the information function are detailed in the reading below. Required materials JP 3-0, read pages 3-17 to 327. Ultimately, read JP 3-0 is the take home message. Be familiar with the publication in its entirety. And if you can speak to joint publication, you can speak to joint operations. The joint functions intelligence. Intelligence, in its myriad of military and non military forms, is critical to a JFC's decision making process. Intelligence helps a JFC and staff to accurately identify enemy centers of gravity, potential threats, positions of friendly and enemy forces, and a host of other key items of information. Analyzed and applied well, intelligence can enable sound decisions at all levels of command. Accurate, timely intelligence assessments can underpin swift development of plans and assessment of conditions in the area of operations. By contrast, lack of intelligence creates great risk and difficulty planning, preparing for, and executing operations. Click the icon to learn more about intelligence. So let's go. Let's click it. Human or human intelligence consists of information obtained from individuals who know or have access to sensitive information that has implications for U.S. security interests. The CIA and the Defense Human Service, an element of the Defense Intelligence Agency, and more recently the FBI, are the primary collectors of human for the intelligence community. I feel like I read this. I feel like I just read this. I don't. I'm pretty sure I read this in the last lesson, but it's okay. SIGINT. SIGINT, or signals intelligence, refers to electronic transmissions that can be collected by ships, planes, ground sites, or satellites. SIGINT. IMINT, or imagery intelligence, includes representations of objects reproduced electronically by optical means of film, electronically electronic display devices, or other media. Imagery can be derived from visual photography, radar sensors, infrared sensors, lasers, and electro optics. NGA is the manager for all imagery intelligence activities, both classified and unclassified, within the government, including requirements, collection, processing, exploitation, dissemination, archiving, and retrieval. NGA is responsible for it all. There's a picture of the Ba'ath Party headquarters, Iraq. And it's black and white. It's a reasonably high fidelity image. It looks like it probably was obtained from AUT, if I had to guess, but I'm not sure. Massent, or measurement and signature intelligence, is technically derived intelligence data other than imagery and SIGINT. The data results in intelligence that locates, identifies, or describes distinctive characteristics of targets and employs a broad group of disciplines, including nuclear, optical, and radio frequencies, acoustics, seismic, and material science. Examples of this might be the distinctive radar signatures of specific aircraft systems or the chemical composition of air and water samples. OSINT, or open source intelligence, is publicly available information appearing in print or electronic form, including radio, television, newspaper, journals, the internet, commercial databases, and videos, graphics, and drawings. Open source, OSINT. And finally, GeoInt, or geospatial intelligence, is the analysis and visual representations of security related activities on the Earth. It is produced through an integration of imagery intelligence, and geospatial information. Required materials JP 3-0. Read pages 3-27 to 330 for an overview on intelligence. Let's see where we are here. Minutes. Okay. The use of fires, a broad term, or the joint functions, we're talking about fires. The use of fires, a broad term, is made when certain effects are required on the target. Many terms that may be familiar relate to fires: joint fire support, offensive counter air, interdiction, close air support, strategic attack, computer network attack, electronic attack, military information support operations, or MISO, formerly PSYOPs, and others. Fires can be generated by weapon systems or by other capabilities. Effect can be lethal via kinetic means, such as a 2,000-pound bomb would produce, to non lethal, resulting from EA or MISO. Weapon systems or capabilities that would normally be called weapons can be used in various ways. However, the overall effect on an enemy target and its related systems are the key consideration. JFCs often have a multitude of fires options and capabilities assigned to or in support of an area of responsibility or specific operation. JP 3-0 describes fires as follows: to employ fires is to use available weapons and other systems to create a specific lethal or non lethal effect on the target. Joint fires are those delivered during the employment of forces from two or more components in a coordinated action to produce desired results in support of a common objective. When discussing fires, it is important to understand the effect needed against a target set, not a specific weapon system that should be used against it. I need this target degraded so it's unusable for 96 hours. Its usable effects, or excuse me, its useful effects language. I need a two ship of F 16s with 500-pound bombs is not, because many platforms or systems, artillery, naval assets could deliver the required effects, not F 16s exclusively. Consider that non lethal effects such as cyber capabilities may be as effective or more so than lethal ones. Click the icon to learn more about fires. The required reading is what? JP 3-0, page 330 to 332 and 336 to 337. Non kinetic fires. Front and back of a warning leaflet dropped by NATO forces in Libya. Warning: you are no match for NATO's superior weapons systems and air power. Continuing to man your post and equipment will result in your death. That. Oh. Wow. Wow. They show you a picture of your location, like an image of your location, and drop a pamphlet. Like, hey man, just so you know, we got eyes on you. We can reach out and touch you. If you don't give up, we're gonna touch you. So, man, that's tough. That's tough. This non-kinetic fires. This non-kinetic fires product is a current example of military information support operations. Yeah, that'll work. You show me my house and be like, hey man, if you don't leave, we're gonna kill you. All right, I'll leave. I don't need this house anyway. Kinetic fires. A Northrop Grumman B 2 Spirit bomber on a training exercise off the California coast. There's a B 2 bomber. There are so many bombs falling out. It looks like somebody's being carpet bombed. Like, this is pretty insane. It's crazy. So non-kinetic fires, kinetic fires, and it goes on to more kinetic fires. The U.S. Army high mobility artillery rocket systems in action. Now, it, I don't know the specs of this. I know they're using it in Ukraine, and there's a light version where it only travels, 48 or 53 miles. So Ukraine is not really using this as a counter strike into Russian territory, which probably would be more effective if they did have that capability, but probably would also expand the war and be seen as provocation. So um, I don't know how it would be any more provocative as the United States helping Russia's enemy, but whatever. This is quite impressive. If you have not seen a video of HIMARS in action, they can fire at a pretty rapid clip. Um, I'm not sure how they load the rockets that quick, but it seems like a bolt action rifle. Maybe not that quick as a bolt action rifle, but it seems pretty quick between firing and 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 I don't I really need to know the stats of the HIMARS, but I know that there's like 11 of them in the field, and you know there's this video of a Ukrainian serviceman kind of in the background or in the foreground of the HIMARS operating, and you can just see him, and it just like boosted their morale because like man, now we can hit back and we can not really match the intensity of what Russia is bringing, but it gives us an opportunity to do something other than just duck and shelter in place. So it's good. Kinetic fires. And more kinetic fires. So there's two types of fires, non-kinetic and kinetic. And like two types of energy, not well, potentially kinetic, so maybe not. But potential is non-kinetic, I guess. And then kinetic is kinetic. U.S. Navy Tomahawk land attack missiles, TLAMs employment. This is like the picture. I can't even do the picture words. It's a rocket, a missile that's just creating a huge stream. It's igniting, and there's like a big dust of smoke at the bottom, and then you can see like a vertical column following the missile, and there's like ignition of the fuel source coming out of the back of the missile. It looks dreadful. It's a bad sight. It's not good. Whoever's on the end of that target is not happy. All right. And I think for the sake of this video, we'll call it here. And yeah, thanks.